Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So what I'm going to do today is show you guys how I do my base routine. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, we're going to start with primer. And I use two different ones. So the first one we're going to use is the Pro Grip Priming Spray from A2O Labs. Okay. And then the next one is something that I've used before, the Hard Candy Longwear Sheer Envy Primer. And I just apply it like that, and then I use the AOA Studio, like this is like to apply primer, and I just blend it out.
Just stretch it as far as I can.
And then I just let the product sit in a little bit. Again, go back in with the priming spray. Doesn't hurt to be extra primed. We'll just let all of that sit. And then I'm going to go in with brows. And for brows, I use the AOA Studio Dual Brow Definer in dark brown. I use the thin side. I hardly ever use this like teardrop shape one. I mainly use this one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my mirror and just fill in a little bit.
And that's one brow done.
And then go ahead and do the other brow. Then I go in with like a wet Q-tip and I just kind of clean up the brows a bit before putting on concealer, because I don't want the brow product to turn the concealer like super dark. For concealer, I'm using the Hourglass concealer in the shade Silk. This clear, like, I think it's Profusion, to be honest. And I just kind of pinch it and flatten that out. I'm just going to go ahead and carve my brows real quick.
Only the bottom. The top I usually do with foundation.
I tend to connect them because sometimes my brow goes one higher than the other, so if I connect the concealer, I feel like they're the same like level. And then whatever concealer is left, I'll just grab my beauty sponge and just blend it down as eyeshadow primer. If I keep looking back, there's because there's a mirror behind and I'm like trying to do two different angles and I don't want to keep looking down. And then very lightly, I'll blend the concealer line from right there. Like super light, like you try not to see it. Okay, I don't know why it keeps getting blurry. It's giving not very mindful, not very demure. But anyway, so I went in with the Juvias Zulu palette. And this is actually the first ever palette I've gotten from them. It's the same one I've had for probably like 6 or 7 years. As you can see, it was used. It was very much loved. So the first shade I went into was the yellow one. And I kind of just started off building that in my crease. So I'm going to go in with the AOA Studios E1 crease-free brush and just kind of start with that yellow shade. Which it doesn't say what the shade names are. There's no shade names, so just the yellow one. And start with that in my crease. My crease is actually here, but because I have hooded eyes, so I'm actually going a bit above my crease and just patting it on. This is serving as our transition shade. I was halfway starting to film through my eyeshadow look and totally forgot to do my base. So after primer and like brows and everything is done, I go in with a color corrector, just because I have like a little bit of dark circles here. So I use the e.l.f. one in the color peach, and I just do like very little, like that's it, just a dot. Because like I said, it's not really like terrible. It's just I don't like it, so I try to cover it. And then I just use my beauty sponge to blend it out. Already it looks a lot better. Not so much on my under eye bags. At least they're not purple. For foundation, I kind of just switch around. But right now I've really been liking the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation, and I use the shade 25 Light Neutral. I just recently got this off their website. I think it was like $8, maybe 10. I could be wrong. But I kind of just squirt some on my face. Just like that, just like the primer. And that's like the full amount that I use. Blending it out. You see what I mean? Like the coverage is there. This one says it's a medium buildable coverage, but it's long lasting and it's hydrating. I would say that it is true. It is more of like a medium coverage, but because of the way that I apply it on my face, I end up building it up to more of like a, I would say kind of like a fuller coverage. I'm usually bad with shade matching when it comes to ordering stuff online, but I feel like this one is a pretty good match compared to how I usually order stuff online. Okay, so foundation is all blended. When I get an itch, I just use the blender to kind of smooth it out, that I don't scratch it and take product away. But then I add a little bit of concealer, so I actually use for my under eyes the Too Faced Born This Way, and I actually have like the little sample one in the shade Snow, because I just like a little bit of a brightened on under eye, but it's not too light. That's all the concealer I use, just a dot. And I just let that sit. While that's sitting and kind of like getting more coverage, that's why I don't use a lot, because like I let it sit to get it thickened a little bit. I'm going to use the Langmani, I don't know if I said that right, liquid contour in the shade 101 Light to Medium. And I just shake it a little bit just in case it waters up. But it has the same sponge as like the She Glam one. I just put a little bit like that. Try to even it out. Okay, then I put a little bit on the nose and kind of like, what are those? Parentheses? No. You know what I'm talking about? I'll insert it here. And then I just do a little line down the nose. It's very uneven. We'll just even it out. It's fine. There. And then like 3 dashes across the forehead. Not so much. Gotta be mindful. And then to blend out the contour, I'm gonna use this brush. I think I got it from like TJ Maxx or something, just to kind of blend it out on like the cheeks and forehead. And I just stamp it in as if you're like blending out foundation. You know how you're supposed to tap it and not swipe. And I always start from down here and go upwards towards the temple. Always blend upwards, never down. And it just kind of gives you that like perfect shadow there. Same here, start from the bottom and work my way up. Now for the foreheads, I start on the sides and then go towards the middle. Blend it up. For the nose, I use a different brush. I've recently been using the AOA Studio's E145 brush, and it looks like this to kind of blend it out. So I start towards the bulb of my nose and then go up towards my brow. And I kind of push the product down a bit. That way it's blending in with the foundation and it's not just a line. Same thing with the other side. Start at the bulb of my nose, tapping it in. But this way we're pushing it down because for your nose, like I said, to blend in with the foundation, not to just look like a straight harsh line. And then drag it up towards my brow bone. And then I'll do it over the top. And finally, I'll just blend downwards for the tip. Now I can go back in with my sponge. And I go alternate, so once I do, you know, some cream steps, I'll go ahead and go in with my setting spray, give it a good shake. This is just one of the two that I've been using recently, and I do this one in between all my like cream steps. So we'll spray before we blend out the concealer. And we'll just go in and blend outside concealer. Like you see how like that one dot just kind of went a long way. That's why I let it sit a little bit and thicken so it can get some more coverage, even though it is a really, really full coverage concealer. And that is one side concealer blend out. I'm just going to go ahead and fix this contour a little bit. Concealer went too high up. See, like that was just an easy fix, and that's why I like these two products together. Okay, so after the concealer is done, I go in with cream blush. And the one is from that same brand, Lang Mani. This one's in the shade 101 Love Cake. Again, just going to give it a quick shake. Has that same like sponge applicator. Just do it like this because it takes a little bit to like build up the product, which I do like. I feel like it doesn't go so much on at once. And again, just kind of tapping it in. It's a little bit more pigmented than I remembered. I haven't done my makeup in a fat minute, so I'll just go back in with my beauty sponge that has leftover like concealer on it to kind of dull it out. And there it goes. It's not giving clown, it's giving very natural, very demure. And again, just going back in with my sponge. Just evening it out. With all that being said, I'm gonna go in with this Glam Light. This is their strawberry shortcake berry bake powder, and it is pink. So this one did come with a powder puff, and that's what we're gonna use to kind of apply it. So I'm just gonna pick up some of the powder, dust it on the back of my hand, and start under the eye. Same thing with the other eye. I don't put loose powder all over my face, just in the spots where I tend to crease the most. So it's under my eye and my smile lines and the side of my nose. And then whatever's left on the powder puff, I'll just put on the forehead, right above the brows. Now, I'm not usually one to bake, but I am going to take just a little bit on here and kind of just reinforce the little line that we made with the contour on the nose. And again, whatever's left, just kind of stamp it. I don't let it sit for too long. Like I said, I'm not one to bake. And that's all the powder I use. Again, go back in with my A2O Labs setting spray. Let it all kind of together. For bronzer and blush powder, I use from Rude Cosmetics their Nude York palette. So this one is an eyes and face. And I like the eyeshadow part. I just really use it more for the face part. So I'm going to go in with their bronzer shade called Bronx. And just add that right on top of that cream contour. Same thing on the forehead. And then with this blue Lisa Frank X Morphe brush, I use that to go in a little tiny bit for my nose, because you don't really need too much, seeing as how it still shows the liquid contour. Just kind of reinforce it. For the blush, I'm going in with the Wet n Wild X Little Twin Stars, like their Sanrio collection, and I'm using this brush for the shade Brooklyn. And I'm going to mix it with a teeny bit of Queen, just a little bit, to set that blush and mainly focus it on the outer portion of my eye, up towards the temple. Now for a highlighter, I just use my pinky, and I'm going to go into this Manhattan shade and just do a teeny bit on the nose. I've just only been liking it on the nose recently, not so much on the cheeks. Try to keep my face as matte as possible. And call that a day. Now let's finish up this eye look. Thanks for watching today's video. This is how my base came out. This is the finished look. Now I'm just gonna change and get ready to go about my day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. Till then, we'll see you in the next one.
You said I can't trust in you.